that's why I don't get into violence, is because like I'd probably become like fucking Buffalo Bill or something and start fucking skinning cunts. Like, but it's not that I'm crazy, it's just that I know if I add that, because when I was training myself for the military, I was, studying psychological warfare. And the thing is in psychological warfare, if I just beat you, okay, you will feel an urge to attack. If I inflict psychological terror on you, no attack will ever come from you again, because you will have to fight yourself to fight me. So that's the thing, is like there's a whole nother level of violence that can be portrayed on people. And people would try and do that to me, put psychological terror on me when I was a kid. And the thing is like, yeah, when I was a kid it worked. Psychological terror worked. You could scare me. You could make me scared. But the problem is you can only live in fear for so long. And I lived in fear my whole childhood. That if I'm in the wrong place at the wrong time, someone's gonna get me. If I'm not aware of this situation and I don't know how to get out of it, I'll get into a situation, and like I'm not joking. Like I've been walking down the street. Like I used to walk home from work at like 1 a.m, and I'd have cunts chasing me, because if you were caught out by these little street gangs, they'd try and fucking bash you. Now they didn't know I had a 12-inch hunting knife in my bag, and that I would, if push came to shove, I was gonna fucking stab them. But I wasn't aggressive back then. I was always happy, so I didn't want to be violent. But, throughout my late adolescence, I got tired of being scared. So I flipped a switch and I said, fuck this. If death is what I fear, death is what I'll seek. So that's how I lived my life, seeking death. Like I only enjoy sports where there's a chance that you might die performing that sport. If there's no chance of dying, what's the point of doing it? Like, what's the point? Like, it's like there's no risk. You may as well be playing golf. Like, that's the thing. So like, I used to do downhill skateboarding. Like I wanted to do like base jumping. I did skydive, and it's a fun experience, but like, yeah, it's just too expensive and it's way too risky. It's the takeoffs that are the risky time, because like, miscalculations or missed maintenance, and whew, yeah. So it's sort of one of those things, like, but like I don't think it's scary jumping from a high place. I get urges to jump from high places. What scares me the most is when I'm in the city and I walk across bridges, because I get the urge to jump. But it's not that like I'm like, oh, I want to go kill myself. No, it's more like that would be a fucking exhilarating experience, jumping from a fucking bridge. That'd be wicked. But the problem is if you're over like 50 meters, the water becomes concrete. Technically you could do it if you had like a weight, like a heavy enough weight, and you could drop it with enough time. But you're talking milliseconds of time. Milliseconds of like either way, and the water might reconstitute to be hardened. You don't want that, not with that amount of force. But yeah, but that's the thing. So like, I always had a belief that like before I got on the medical cannabis, like my ADHD used to make me really, really like anxious. Because the problem is my brain never switched off. So I would hyper-focus on key aspects or problems or things in life. And I would like just keep going over them. And if you look at a problem for long enough, you'll create like solutions that are problems. And you'll create scenarios where you're on a ledge. So I would do that. And like it got to the point to where I was willing to pull my suicide lever, which is my belief on suicide. For me personally, is I cannot die by my own hand. That is a weak act. Like if I do not value my life and I have no point to living, I will go to the French Foreign Legion or any foreign military, whatever war zone's active, and I will volunteer for the side that's in the right. And, you know, I will fight and not try and kill myself, but I will seek an honourable death. You know, to die protecting another is the most honourable way to die. You know, that's just for every man. Everyone knows that. Like if you stand in front of a bullet for another person, like that's the most honourable way to die. Like you know, you're not dying in fear. You're dying with certainty of your decision. You don't know what happens next, but you know in that moment you held true to that decision. You know, whatever it was. So, you know, that was always mine. And like before I found weed a couple of years ago, not found weed, but before I got on the medical stuff and started actually like smoking almost every day, what happened was like I was getting ready, I was learning French. I was preparing to go over there and volunteer. Now the French Foreign Legion, the reason I do that is like in the last 153 conflicts or something, they've been a part of like 80 of them. So like I know I'm going to get in the action if I go there. And the thing you got to understand is it takes 3 months to build your body up. That's it. So if you just commit 3 months to building your body up, and then you commit to building your mind up at the same time and your aptitude, boom, job done. Now it's hard because, you know, they are quite picky in their, you know, their criteria and stuff like that. But, you know, like worst comes to worst, I would have went to like Kurdistan or something like that, because they're fighting a good fight. The only reason to fight is to defend freedom. That's the only reason to fight. That's the only reason for war. Because war is the result of someone forcibly trying to take your freedom from you. And you have one or two choices. Resist with maximum hostility, or submit with no guarantees. When the boot is on your neck, you have no leverage to negotiate. It's you know, it's just one of those things that like we forget these things in life, that if we don't stand for our ideals of freedom, whatever they may be personally, and we stand however we wish to stand. Like whatever standing means for you is what standing means for you. Just like whatever standing means for me is standing meaning for me. For me, sometimes standing means like literally standing there and not giving an inch, and showing someone that they will have to initiate force. Failure to initiate force will not move me. You know, intimidation's great, but it's not going to move me. So like, that's the thing, is that, you know, standing is just knowing someone's trying to coerce an action from you, and you're just knowing that you're going to take the actions that mean something to you individually for whatever reason you deem as being valuable. And most people, the majority of people, their actions are based around, their actions are based around other people. I'm sorry if I'm stumbling a bit. I'm lost. I was looking for a Awoonga name right now. This is the funny thing. So this is what I mean about dyslexia. So when I got the GPS up, my intention was to go to Awoonga Dam. So I put in Awoonga Dam. And the problem is, I accidentally chose Awoonga Dam Road. But when I was reading it, my brain told me Awoonga Dam. So that's what I mean. Sometimes when I don't double and triple check myself, I get lost. So I always get lost when I'm trying to find places. And it's sort of there's two ways you can look at it. The first way is you can look at it as, this is a time delay, I'm losing time, there's a loss happened here, I'm upset. Or you can look at it as just it's a additional experience, you know what I mean? There is no, that's why I don't like setting time frames to being places, because how long the travel should take, and then it's you work towards that and you sort of measure your results. That's just one of the things. So for me personally, it's so funny because I've got to be wrong before I'll actually put the effort in to be right. That's the dyslexia, is that thought of not paying attention. It's also the ADHD, I think. But you've just got to understand, the human mind isn't yes, there are defects and things like that, and there are certain things that genetically go wrong that limit the human mind. But for most people, our minds are all basically the same in their ability, and it's our diet and our behaviours or our actions that dictate the health of our mind, our brain. So the thing is that if you train your brain to be fluid and to be able to think and things like that on the go, and you train it to be able to make decisions quickly, you can think at a more rapid rate. But the downside is because you're trying to collapse time frames, you don't have what would you say, because you're trying to collapse time frames, you're not able to put in enough time energy, so you can't look at a decision for a specific set of time. So for example, when I set the GPS, I sort of set it, and because enough of it lined up, I didn't really look any further. So that's the trap that everyone faces, is if we don't pay enough attention to our decisions, we're prone to make hastily or wrong decisions, because we take in half the data and then assume the rest. And that's the trap, right? Because it's always our hubris which limits us. And these are sort of the aspects where self-doubt comes in. Because, sometimes it's very instinctual behavior to, think on the fly and then assume. And the problem is it's learnt behavior, and it's just a learnt way of processing information and things like that. But it leads us to have these limiting beliefs and false conclusions, but they're rooted in and among true beliefs. So that's the hard part, is in the falsehoods there's always portions of truth. So we gotta try and understand that in the context of there's even wisdom in making mistakes. Because, for example, I'll use me as another example, but I can make sure the next time I use the GPS that I'm going to, double and triple check the data. And if I put that habit in for 2 weeks consecutively, it'll start to form a new behavior. So that's the key thing, is it's so easy for us to take that value out of any negative situation and formulate it into new beliefs of action. So that's one of the important things to remember, because our self-doubt has truth in it. When we feel self-doubt, it means we're not feeling aligned to the outcome. Okay? But we got to understand our feelings are in our emotions. So the problem is feelings is just if I'm on a diet and I'm eating the diet, but I'm not feeling like I'm getting any progress, that self-doubt will come in to the point of I'll start going, well, is it even worth it? Am I even going to get the results? Maybe they're not going to happen for me. Maybe this and that. But the truth in it is, if I double down on the diet, the results will come. So that's the thing, is our subconscious mind paints a very pretty picture of this illusion of doubt. But the truth is, if I'm feeling self-doubt, it means I'm feeling that my work ethic, the work I'm putting in, isn't enough. And the answer is there's always more. But the truth is more required. And the answer to that is usually no. When we feel that insecurity, usually what we're doing is we're comparing, or we're setting expectations of time frames without understanding how we're going to reach those time frames. That's where the insecurity comes into it. Because when we truly understand the amount of effort and time that it will take to reach a goal, when we work out the steps to get there, if we just follow that plan, it will always work, because we've thought it out. But the problem is when we give in to self-doubt and we start to allow ourselves to, feel or empower those feelings of lack and not being good enough. To understand, if you're authentic, you're already good enough. Do you get it? If you're being you, you're already good enough. Because there's only one you. If you're trying to imitate someone else, well, now you're in competition with others. Do you it. That's how you become happy. You just focus on you. And you stop comparing. But the hard thing is comparing is hardwired into our belief structures through team sports, through schooling, through all these negative fucking places. So the key thing is, like, once you understand that, it's sort of, how do we find those negative beliefs or those negative fears? And it's sort of like we have to start taking actions, but we have to seek actions that are uncomfortable. We have to seek to put ourselves in discomfort to root out those false beliefs and those false thoughts and those negative narratives. Because, and David Goggins talks about this so much. When we're in there, that's when we're able to show ourselves. That's when we're able to compare us in this exact moment, dredging through this fucking difficult and uncomfortable and emotional thing, you know? And sort of we compare it to this false belief of who we think we are or who we think we should be. And then we just shatter it because we show it who we are. And that's the key. Everyone has to do that individually because you can't, like, it's not the same for everyone. Because meaning is individual. Sorry. Meaning's individual. We make our own meaning in life, which means that, like, your meaning is going to be skewed towards the things you value in life, just like my meanings, you know, towards the things I value in life. So I put more meaning around life towards trees. You get it? So for me, when I'm around trees, I feel like I'm alive because I feel like I'm around life. So, like, you choose what you want to, what meaning you want to bring, so that, you know, because everyone's got their own things. Some people it's you know, family above everything. Some people it's, you know, this and that. For me it's like, you know, exploration, you know, surviving, like going out and spending three weeks, a month in the wilderness, just cruising around and enjoying life. Like, people would think about that and think of it as this most grueling, grudging, difficult thing, but it's like you can make it as comfortable as you want. It doesn't really matter. Like you don't have to be uncomfortable. You can be in an uncomfortable situation and be comfortable. Like, the illusion is that you have to be uncomfortable if you're in an uncomfortable situation. So, should I be in pain, I have to be in discomfort. Why can't I just enjoy the pain? Like, the pain, it's not going to change if I'm uncomfortable. So why wouldn't I just choose to be comfortable and happy about it and just enjoy it? Like, it's just a new experience. You know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not here breaking my fingers, you know, getting off on that. Fuck that. But it's just, if I have to endure pain, I'm just going to tell myself I'm having a good time. That's what I do. And then I just start having a good time. It's a great time. But yeah. Alright, well that finishes this one off. But yeah, I'll chat to you later. Bye.